Solution Talk. Circular Policy Labs. From local indicators to global implementation. Please welcome your host, Shogo Akagawa from Nikkei Asia.
So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to this session today, the Circular Policy Labs from local indicators to global implementation. So, my name is Shogo Akagawa. I'm editor-at-large for Japanese newspaper Nikkei, and I have now honor to moderate this session today. As the title suggests today, the Circular Policy Lab from local indicator to global implementation. This session is about a journey from local to global. And we are starting today at something very concrete, an experience in St. Kitts and Nevis. And then, but we will discuss about the policy decisions, about the cooperation with society, people, and cities, despite with challenging situation, backdrops, and backlash of democracy, rule of law, and international corporations. So let me introduce our distinguished speakers. Joyelle Trizia Clarke, Minister of Sustainable Development, Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment of St. Kitts and Nevis. Many years you engaged of livelihood, I think, sustainable livelihood research. And now, today, she brings us a perspective of political decision-making and political leadership. Thank you very much for joining us. And then Kristina Kölling, Head of Environment and Circularity of Tchibo. Tchibo is one of the most famous German coffee retailers with 900 shops globally, but still its headquarters is Hamburg. So she brings us today a perspective of companies and market, and she many years she engaged in sustainability and circularity. Thank you very much. And Carole Nassreddine, welcome. And she is a young ambassador of the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, and is the second time. Welcome again. And but she's same time postgraduate students focusing on chemical engineering at the American University, Beirut. Yep. Thank you very much. So we will begin with an important contribution that gave us a ground, a basic of today's discussion in St. Kitts and Nevis. First, Professor Kerstin Kuchta, Hamburg University of Technology, TU Hamburg, and the Clayticia Daniel, project officer, Ministry of Environment, show us the experiment in the country. Kerstin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you ready? Could you explain briefly your method?
Exactly. I would love to do this. So good afternoon to everyone. And I'm really happy to give the warm up and bring you into the picture of what we did and how is the status now. So we, at the Hamburg University of Technology, jointly with the Professor Moritz from the Hochschule Flensburg or the Helmut Schmidt University, developed a methodology how to become circular, and therefore we developed a policy lab, so develop how policy can support the transition to circular societies. And the starting point was, here. So then we start from the global ideas, so the global ambitions that we have, and bring them down to local actions. So we have the sustainability goals. They were our basis. Then the question of how to bring them clearly defined. We were really happy with them, but to bring them down to a circular economy and to see how can we track the transition and how can we measure the success that there is. And then the idea was, okay, we are doing something at the university scale, we have to bring it down to local action. It's not just about talking, it's about action. And therefore, then we decided jointly, it was a co-creation process, how it is here in this area, the usual case. So we started with what are the domains, what are the issues that we should cover? And there was first clearly the point, we need strategies from the political side to move the transition. And then we had these domains like the data, the infrastructure, energy, water, and emissions. And for sure, because we want to create a tool that is universal, applicable, we need the specific context that should be covered by our tool. And then there was the idea, okay, we have these different domains, and then we need to evaluate the maturity of this society, region, or city, whatever, or even company that we have there. And there was it easy to start with a very linear thing, so there is no circularity, and then move up to a systematic implementation of the circularity aspect in all these domains and see what was there behind with the policy. And this means if we think about linear, there was no circularity in action, and the political focus should be, this was the result, creating awareness and creating or getting the status, so the baseline. And then for the second level, we declared there is already awareness, so the first initiatives and pilots were implemented, and the policy should focus on data systems and build the coordination. And this move, the non-defined, is then we have to focus from the political side on scaling the implementation, and then in the systematic, so stage level 4, we thought innovation and transformation is then the focus for the political bodies. And if you go a bit more in detail, so you see here, this is our domain number 3, where we thought about the data and the operation on waste and recovery. Level 0 is there is no waste circularity management, it's just landfill or dumped. Then with the level 1, it's already a basic segregation of the waste streams. And then we go even in ambitious levels of recycling or circularity rates. So level 2 is not easy to reach. It's already 55% of recycling. And this becomes more and more ambitious, so that we get to the level 4 then with several examples and best practices already. And what the idea is then that we have data and evidence calculated in a tool that we implemented, that we have the circular transition started, very simple, and data that are available, not perfect, but simple. And then we go for our basic data to bring the baseline and then repeat the assessment every year or every 5 years, depending on what is the best. But this is what we all wanted to discover together with the St. Kitts and Nevis. And the result of this first assessment is then a radar chart. And there you see these different domains and the different subcategories. And then you know it, you start in the middle with a 0, then there is nothing. And then you expand, hopefully, until the very outer rim to get the perfect system. And we got the first case that we had just from Antwerp, the city, and the publicly available data. And there you see that we have some good strengths identified, so level 2 already, about hazardous materials, circular jobs. The opportunities were always important for us, not just the costs, but the opportunities, the material flow. And then you see this sparking radar chart, but there are gaps as well in this society for circularity procurement. Do we really buy things that are already circular? And then the KPIs. So, and this is now under operation, or we tested in Hamburg, and we tested it already in St. Kitts and Nevis, and you will get the results in a minute. But the idea was we have a different context around the world. So we have to have specific indicators as well. But at the end, we want to compare and share this monitoring logic everywhere. And then in a collaborative transition and approach to get the best practices for all of us. And with this, I hand over to Clayticia and give you then, she will show you the first results. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kucher. Your Excellency, Honorable Minister Dr. Clarke, Staatsrat von Vogel, sorry for pronunciation, distinguished colleagues. I am Clayticia Daniel, Project Officer within the Ministry of Environment, Climate Action and Constituency Empowerment, and I also hold National Focal Point designations under the UNFCCC in Gender, ACE, and an alternate for adaptation. Professor Kucher has given you the architecture, and I will give you the ground. That is what it means to build a circular economy baseline on a 261 square kilometer twin island federation, St. Kitts and Nevis, with limited capacity and no president to inherit. Now, this is not a polished account of success. It is an honest record of what it takes for a small island state to build something true in partnership and under real constraint. St. Kitts and Nevis currently holds no standalone circular economy strategy. What we hold is the Sustainable Island State Agenda, SISA, our national vision for sustainable development. When this co-creation began, our first task was to ask where circularity already lived within that vision. The answer was everywhere, simply unnamed. No Plastic Future speaks to material flow reduction. Resilient infrastructure speaks to construction waste. Blue and green economy speaks to tourism, agriculture, and fisheries. Our climate commitments align with SDGs 11, 12, and 13. So the founding principle was non-negotiable. This toolkit must speak the language of SISA. An imported framework does not survive contact with our reality. And in so doing, we have our co-creation in practice, in 4 months, and in 2 continents. The mandate was clear. A working circular economy baseline, no prior assessment across 2 time zones and in under 6 months. On February 16th, we convened with TUHH and Helmut-Smeed University and agreed on one principle: build with what exists rather than wait for what should exist. By April, data requests had returned from our Solid Waste Management Corporation, SWMC, our Statistics Department, and Planning, within weeks, not months. By May-June, 5 years of waste data was secured, gaps identified, proxy indicators agreed. Today, we present that baseline. What made it possible? An existing TUHH SKN partnership signed in October 2024. SISA as a shared language from day one, and as well a maturity logic that demands honesty, not perfection. This was not Hamburg assisting St. Kitts and Nevis. This was instead co-creation between equals, a model we believe the international community can transfer. So I think I went a bit too far. So here again, what exists? 5 years of SWMC tonnage data, national statistics available by formal request, and 226 construction permits from Nevis alone. A meaningful proxy where direct tracking does not yet exist. And here, with equal candor, is what we cannot yet measure. Methane and landfill gas remain untracked. Material flows are not tracked beyond our shores. Our recycling is exported, but accountability ends at the port. Data continuity also depends on individuals and not institutions. So this toolkit does not wait for a perfect data environment. It is built and ready to build one progressively and with integrity. Now, in relation to what you're seeing on the screen, in terms of the data collected, in 2024, St. Kitts and Nevis generated 54,680 tons of waste. By 2025, 60,762 tons, an 11% increase in 1 year. Land clearing is the largest stream, as you can see on the screen, with 24%, and that is driven by tourism and construction. Commercial waste, that's at 19%. Household is at 20%. C&D 14%, which is volatile, and sewage at 16%. Now, I want to draw to your attention that 1.71 tons of electronic waste was collected in 2024. The figure is not accurate, and e-waste from 47,000 people, well, approximately 55,000 within the population of St. Kitts and Nevis, with significant tourism throughput, cannot reasonably be 1.71 tons. What it tells us is precise. We have identified a monitoring gap, and identifying it with such clarity is itself among the most valuable outputs of this collaboration. Now, in terms of our toolkit value, introducing complexity into capability. The obstacles we encountered were not technical, they were institutional. In St. Kitts and Nevis, data can live in silos with no shared system between our two islands, and access too often depends on relationships rather than a system. And this is not unique to St. Kitts and Nevis. Every government in this room can recognize it, so the toolkit was built by design to account for it. Maturity logic over perfection, and institutional ownership of data. So Nevis recognized as its own jurisdiction within one unified reporting architecture. What this gives our ministry is an operational instrument, fragmented knowledge translated into indicators that are aligned with our SISA and the SDGs. It also gives a monitoring framework that begins honestly where we are, and a governance model we believe is replicable for island nations beyond our own. And here we have not a deficit story, but a capability milestone. And it is from this record, in terms of our co-creation process being built in 4 months from the ground by those who know that ground best. And I end here with a quote from Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you very much, Clayticia. Let's move now to the panel discussion. And unfortunately, the Staatsrat Alexander von Vogel could not attend the session. But let's start with Joyelle. So you collected the meaningful data from your country. I think now your country is like a policy laboratory. What should we learn, and maybe what should we avoid? What's your lessons from this experiment? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. And I really like this question because it reminds us that there are experiences and knowledge that we can share between countries, regardless of the scale and regardless of where we are, as outlined by Clayticia in even our own data mapping journey. But what we're learning from St. Kitts, and what I would like us to learn from St. Kitts and Nevis, our reality, is not just the scale, because we're so small, and what we need to do and have to accomplish, but also the methodology, additionally being grounded in policy and having a framework, a political framework that guides what we're doing, as well as the importance of governance. And I'll go very quickly into the policy framework. When our government took leadership just 4 years ago, we recognized that we're right in the middle of the 2030 agenda, and we needed to accelerate how we get the SDGs, but connect it to people's realities and what Kittitians and Nevisians felt was important to them. And while it wasn't articulated clearly, circularity, dealing with waste, it was a problem, but it's grounded in a broader framework of sustainability, of climate resilience. And it's important for governments to understand that without political will and documented political will, you don't know what direction you're taking, and you can't lead the people that you are serving with you. So that grounding is critical, the political framing. But importantly, it's partnership. And what we have here with the city of Hamburg and the university and all our partners is that think Kitts and Nevis, with our lived reality, we have options to share and we can take steps together. So the partnership architecture is such that we're not just recipients of the services from the city of Hamburg. We have options to share, we have lessons to share, and we have lessons to learn. And this example, this case study, this toolkit has proven to us that even in the reality that we don't have our data mapped properly, that they're in silos, that there is a path that we can take if we have the right partners who would hold our hands and lead us on this journey.
Thank you. Let's move to the perspective of company's perspective on market, because a company have to always consider about investment, supply chain, or kind of regulatory concept. So from your experience on accumulated history, what are you expecting for the policymakers, and what is Tchibo is trying to overcome these problems?
Yeah, first of all, I really appreciate what you're doing. I'm so glad to be here with you together. And it's really great work you're doing. So thank you so much. I think we are working in the same battlefield of getting circular economy really done and not talking about it only. So I think we have this. I can only echo what already a lot of panels told today, is that we really need predictable framework from policymakers, because when I'm really concrete, when I'm standing in front of the board and I'm presenting a circular business model, they do not ask me if circularity is the right way to go. So for them it's clear, but they ask me, can I rely on long-term policy frameworks, because they are doing investments and we need a level playing field also with our competitors in Europe. Now we're talking about especially really a lot of regulations. We are affected also in Europe, and we are happy that we are affected, because this gives us also the possibility to show up what we do better with our products. Maybe for whom do not know Tchibo, we are one of the 10 biggest coffee roasters of the world. But when I talk about circularity, I think it's much more important that you know that we are selling a lot of textiles, and not ultra fast fashion, but also fast fashion. And we are also selling, hard goods. So I'm affected from, all kinds of regulations, eco-design regulations in the future. And that's why we are really, really hope that we will not get any postponements anymore from Europe, from Brussels, that we really can prepare on what is coming up. And we are well prepared, but when I'm coming to the board and talking to them and tell them there will postponements and they will not rely anymore on what to do. And I think this is something what I really, really request from policymakers, not talking about 2 years, talking about 8 years, 10 years, because our business cases in circular economies, they are also slightly a little bit different. So sometimes I have longer ROIs, sometimes I have higher initial costs. So I have to really think in a long-term way, and I need a long-term framework for that.
Maybe could you briefly add some, maybe you have a kind of dilemma that the policy making is fragmented, because the EU is deciding, Washington deciding, Beijing deciding, but company is operating globally. Do you have some kind of dilemma or difficulty with this?
Yeah, I think we are selling our products in 9 countries, but within Europe. So for me, it's really super good that we have a European regulation. So, but we are buying from products from all over the world. But I think from the Asian countries where we buy our hard goods and textiles, they are well prepared for the European market, because they know what it is needed. So, and I think it's more about the European long-term policy framework what we need, and maybe what to add when we talk about global supply chains. We need more global standards, but so difficult, And we even do not get any standards, norms within Europe. So I think this is something what I maybe do not want to ask for, because I think how it is really like complex, and we can handle complexity, and we can also handle that we have to really act like entrepreneurs, but we cannot change the policy framework, and this is something what we want to give the responsibilities to policymakers, and the rest we do not need money, we need just long-term decisions.
Thank you. And let's turn to the citizens' perspective, because we talked about the company, we talked about the policy making, but discussing about the peoples, we should not target to the niche people who is already committed to this society. So we have to involve this society. What's your perspective? How could policy making or the politicians involve people? How could citizens handle citizens as co-designer of circularity? What do you think?
Thank you for this question. It's very important. And thank you for having me also here, and to reflect the youth voice and sustainability toolkit. And I really appreciate all your work you are doing. It's very impressive, and hope this will be continuing to other cities as well. So indeed, it's a very important question to be as a young people and as a citizen, a part of the co-creation process, because a circular economy is not just about it's indeed about people, not just materials. So people need to be part of the co-creation process, and government too often do the regulations and then involve people, which is the big I want to say gap, because when people saw themselves as end point, or as a material to have a regulation to be to apply, it will not work. So that's why I see people need to be involved as a part of the co-creation process, to see to include youth in the decision making, not just to have sit on the table, to be just part of the change, so that we can apply it directly, and we see the change as well that we are making. So when people feel the change, they will do it. And circular economy is not just they will have many people and scientists, they know about circular economy, but not all of them, they do it in their everyday life. So we need people that to take it like a habit, because I think circular economy is a habit, and youth can be part of this change. So yeah.
Thank you. Joyelle, come back to you, because if I ask on the street, do you love circularity or sustainability? Everybody says yes. But circularity economy is easy to support. But if we think about the cost, who will pay the cost? And it's most difficult topic and issues in the politics, I know this. Yeah. And then, so that's why maybe you need money, you need more administrations, maybe you have to ask people to change their habits. That's the most difficult one. How should political decision makers communicate with the society? What's your opinion?
That's a wonderful question. And I think the best way to respond is to provide some context from the St. Kitts and Nevis experience. I'll start by saying, ever so often someone sends me a text message and they say, every time I drink soup from a biodegradable container, I think of you. and not in a good way. I'm like, yes. And that's because we had our single-use plastic ban last year. But it was after years of consultation. We started by saying, looking at the rest of the Caribbean region, and some countries went full force, like they announced in 3 months, no more single-use plastics. No straws, no paper, no foam. We decided that we had to consult. We had to find out what our manufacturers, what our importers were able to do. And of course, they wanted to take forever to do it. But it's that engagement with civil society, with our private sector, that brought us to the point of a phased ban. And we recognize that somebody had to be the face. And so when I go into the schools, they're like, oh, the plastic lady is coming, which was fine, because it's about communicating even to the younger generation that, hey, the change is coming. And I recall one day when we were just about 3 days just before the plastic ban for the plastic t-shirt shopping bags, I went to one of the biggest supermarkets in the country, and the owner followed me through and through the aisles because I was shopping, and he said, you know, we have a serious problem and we need you to help us solve it. And I was like, what's your problem? He said, oh, we ordered a full container, like 40,000 plastic bags, and what are we going to do with them? And I was like, that's not a problem. Let's just call everybody to collect the bags now. He was like, but I spent money. I said, but you would give them away for free. So what would be wrong if you just put them outside of your supermarket and tell everyone, collect? But it's always that pressure. And this is the point of the cost. There is the economic cost. There is a political cost, because in some of the consultations, the private sector was like, well, we're not going to do it. And it's like, but it's legislation. You have to do it. Like, we don't want you to be fined. We don't want it to be enforcement. Then there is that political cost of your small business vendors. As soon as the ban is announced, they would send out a notice and said, well, because of the single-use plastic ban, the cost of our food has moved from $20 to $25. We apologize for that. And they blamed the Ministry of Environment. But it's also something that the government was willing to bear. And we recognize that there had to be input from our side. This is the economic cost. We had to legislate it, which means we had to get both St. Kitts and the Nevis Island administration on board, both cabinets. We had to pass it in Parliament with every single parliamentarian agreeing. And then we had to provide incentives. That's lobbying the Ministry of Finance for tax clearance and VAT-free, and you know the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
They never...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But we had to
But it's important sometimes.
Yes. We had to weigh all of these costs and really negotiate what we would give and what we would take to ensure that St. Kitts and every single citizen was on board with the transition. And now we are matching all that policy and legislation to what it means for your lives, where we're providing grants to businesses who need to transition from producing single-use plastics to producing canvas bags. And lastly, if it's not sexy, it's not going to happen. And we had to make the transition cool, and we had to show entrepreneurs and everybody that this is a new part of the economy that you could be fully integrated with. And now we have our craft vendors and our artists making bags that we can sell and use. So it's good, and people are adapting.
In this process, do you have some kind of difficulty to convince your colleagues in Parliament, for example?
Well, I'll say that in Parliament, most of my speeches, I try to start by saying, you know, the environment isn't sexy, and the Speaker of the House says that's unparliamentary. But I keep doing it to show them that if we don't make environmental stewardship cool, no one is going to take it on. And if we do not tie it to livelihoods, they're not going to take it on. But for politicians, you must tie it to the local vote, because all politics is local and all policy is local. And when they see that their constituents will support a policy because it improves their livelihoods, then you have the political support.
Thank you. I want to discuss about the affordability and convenience with companies' perspective, because, as Joyelle said, people are tending to more easiest way. In me as well, in a home, we could buy things and click on the internet, and the next day delivery. That is the most easiest way and the most convenient way. How we could change this habit? And because in the circularity economy, sustainability is very common. Who is committed already, the people, and how we can more affordable, more attractive of this circularity economy to the society. What's your opinion?
First of all, I can really connect to what you said also about transition and transformation in a circular economy, also when you're talking about the finance minister. So we have to learn also to talk the language of CFOs in companies. And I think we did it in the last years, and we had hardly to learn how business cases are created, also my sustainability colleagues. And we are good in it and getting better in it. And we have to convince not only with our moral arguments, we have to talk their language and to convince them where they standing at the moment. And another topic where I can relate on is that you have to make circular economy to the best party, and then everybody wants to go on this party and not to other parties. And I think it's a lot of storytelling, a lot of, involvement, a lot of, showcasing plastic team. And I think I really, so we see we're doing totally different things, but we have the same stories and how to convince people. And when I talk about consumers, we are talking about really like the mainstream consumers in Germany. So in every household, and I can maybe look around, in every household there are Tchibo products. So and we really learned that the people, they want just to trust in a brand like Tchibo, and they want to buy good products from good companies. And this is our task, to define what is a good product and where we want to go as a company. And we cannot ask the consumer, please pay for this product, because we put so much effort in circular design. And so, yeah, but you have to pay a price premium. We have to do it because we want to do it. And we have to start in this transformation. And you can choose where you start. There are some low-hanging fruits, and there are some, success stories you can create, and then going more deeper in these, like, more difficult areas, like maybe for you electronics seems to be a really hard one. And I can maybe make a concrete example. We are selling a lot of coffee machines. So we love our coffee, and we sell a lot of coffee machines. And 14 months ago, we created a refurbishment shop for coffee machines. And we asked the consumer if they are likely want to buy used coffee machines, because they know it from cell phones and from laptops and so on. But a coffee machine is something really personal, like the most lovely product in your kitchen. And when it was already used by somebody else, is it like the toothbrush? No, it is not. But and we just said this is we put Tchibo guarantee on it, and we are really looking after that it's really proper, cleaned, and everything. And they trusted us as a brand, because this is something what the value, we have a big value in our brand. And it took 9 months for Tchibo to make this business model profitable. So I had 12 months. The board asked me, do you have 12 months to make it profitable? It's not high margin. I was really, when you compare it still with linear business models and others, it's not that same margin. I'm working on it, but we got it profitable now. And when we ask the consumers, coming back to your question, is why are you asking refurbished coffee fully automatic machine? Because it's cheaper. We make it more affordable for people like students. They want to have also Tchibo coffee machine. Normally for new, it's around 289 at the moment, and we are selling it for 149. And it makes a huge difference for a student or somebody who's maybe has small pocket money. So I'm super happy we sell refurbished coffee machine, but we also buy old coffee machines from our consumers. We clean it, we refurb it, and sometimes it's only taking 3 days from buying it back and selling it to a new person. And we're still celebrating this in our team, because this is, for me, really lived circular economy. And yesterday we launched a repair pilot for textiles. This is really like the most difficult one, because textiles, normally you're paying for a t-shirt around 20, 30 euros when you're looking after quality. And but when there's something not good anymore, to repair a t-shirt for 20 or 30 euros, it's really hard to make this business model really profitable. But we found really great partners within Germany, Bridge and Tunnel and Repair Rebels, realizing this as startups together with us, and we're trying it out. In 6 months we know more, and maybe we stop it or we continue something else. So just going your way and collecting a lot of experience, and I think get it done and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, get it done, do it. And Carole, what do you think? Because anyone is the one biggest attractive point is cost, right? Cheap. And what is needed to involve more students or youth generations? I mean, we have to hand over this earth to the next generations, and we have to share our responsibility.
Yeah, so talking about cost is sharing opportunity for all. So people like are doing from circular economy, they benefit from their needs. So it's really nice like to see people involved in those, for example, regulations, and also like coming like from a country of conflict. I see like circular economy, anyone like can do it. From small thing, we can start it like doing it by home. Like as you said, like we can start like by single-use like bottles. We can like create tote bags, accessories. So I know someone like from Africa like are doing these things like from home, just by single-use plastic. So if we want to do, we can do it. And like here, like a message like for government, I guess like government shouldn't like ask people to what to do and what is sustainable and what is practical for them, you know. So it's like more about the trust. I think trust like is a big word to say, because when people trust in their government and in the regulation, and they see like the need. So also like talking about cost, like I know it costs a lot, but like also waste management costs more than applying like circular economy. So if we can reuse, repair, it costs cheaper than the crisis of waste management and what we have of environmental crisis. So I see circular economy as a big opportunity, and it's much cheaper than the crisis when we have like in front of being not sustainable or not using circular economy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add something? Maybe we also have to reframe the word circular economy, because you talked about it, and I think when we ask a lot of people, they even do not know what circular economy. When we started with the Circular Solutions Lab at Tchibo 4 years ago, and I was also part of it, I could not define what circular economy means. But I know that at Tchibo and the company, and also everybody is doing a lot of circular economy, but they do not even know that it is a circular economy. So maybe we have to talk about new economy or a future economy, something what is not so heavy and not so theoretically. So this is something, the future of economy. So I try to find new words, so maybe we can find together new words for it, so that more people are also able to follow and coming to the party.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to add something. Like education is very important here.
Yeah.
So raising awareness as well. So here also comes the role of youth, of being like a part of raising awareness and be part of these initiatives. Like, yes, like I came from a country, they don't know about the climate change even. They don't trust about what is climate change. So education and raising awareness is very important in this topic. And also, as you said, like some people do it, but they don't, it's about culture, but they don't know they are doing like in a circular economy way. Yeah. So we need to...
And we have a circular academy, and the most of the attendants attendees are young people.
True.
Really, they want to learn
Yes.
what circular economy is about, and they are really willing to act also. So yeah.
Yeah, thank
Sorry.
you. No worries.
I didn't want to take your job there.
We have to back to the title of the global information that you mentioned about the awareness of the people. So, Joyelle, maybe the last question is because of the global implementation, what should politicians do to make a big step forward? What is needed? What kind of speeches, what kind of discussion should be held with society, with companies, people, young generation?
Maybe we should give up our jobs to younger folks. But seriously.
Yeah.
And I mean it. As politicians, well, at least I made an effort to include the younger voice in decision making and leadership. Clayticia got this project in February, and I have not asked her one question about it. And I came here today and sat down because of trust. I expect that I've given everything that she needs to succeed, started a relationship in 2024 that I trust with the city of Hamburg. And that's what we need to do as politicians. You said it, right? We need to trust that if we put systems in place, young folks can excel and they can lead. And today is an example that our ministry, our government has been represented by a 30-year-old, and I trust the outcomes. So that's really what politicians need to do. If we create a framework, give the young people the opportunity to lead, they're going to take us in the right direction.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining us. And I will give back the mic to the conference.
Yes. Just allow me one remark before you're allowed to leave. So we've started together that amazing journey 4 months ago, and we would like to invite all of you to join the party. We've developed and documented the process in a document which you find with that QR code. And I would like all of you to have a look and give us comments and feedback. And if you want to embark the journey, let us know. Our goal is next year to have at least 4 other use cases here, making experiences with that toolkit and sharing best practices with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, speakers. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.